What's up, guys? It's your boy TPP, and I'm back with that true crime talk, baby. Let's go. Before we get going, though, before we jump into this Idaho 4, and it's gonna be, I don't know, super long, but it should be a fairly good little deep dive. And well, before I get into that, you guys know it's I gotta pander a little bit for the likes and the subscribers and whatnot. It's part of the job as a YouTuber. I don't like it, but I've been told it's necessary by other YouTubers. So here we go. If you could do me a huge favor, could you smash that like button? If you haven't already and you're showing up to steal my content again, please think about this time smashing that subscribe button. And if you're new here, trust me, just save your time and subscribe now. Don't even wait towards the end. Just become part of the crew. That being said, let's jump into it, guys. All right, we got that Idaho 4, right? Now, I've been asked multiple times what my thoughts are about certain things on this case, and I've told people, dude, go check out the playlist. It's extensive. It's quick though; it'll catch you up quick, but it's extensive, and it'll let you know what I think. I still get questions, so I figured now that we got new subscribers, we got a lot of active subscribers that seem to appreciate the premiere format, so we could all chat. You know what I mean? I know, guys. I know live streaming. I know. I get it. Live stream. Like I said, I can't right now. I'm not set up for it. I'm trying. Be patient with me, please. But anyways, y'all like the new format, so I figured let's just do a little Idaho 4 brush up. You know what I mean? A little timeline, a little brush up, and then I'll give you my thoughts, my opinions. You know what I mean? And then obviously you guys can talk amongst yourselves down in the chat, or obviously I'm gonna be down there interjecting too, but I'm outside saying hi to everybody. I actually, you know what? I heard another YouTuber talk about how they appreciated back in the days when their subscriber group wasn't really big in the chat because they could, engage with everybody. And I feel that, like, I dig engage with everybody. So, anyways, I digress. I don't know, 4-wheel drive, you know me. But anyways, guys, let's get into this little timeline breakdown. Found a good video that'll kind of, give us, a rundown of what happened to these beautiful souls. And like I said, we'll interject. I'll tell you what I think, some of my opinions. But I have a whole working theory pretty much from start to finish on this whole case. And I'm talking like from Brian Koberger's past to the night this happened, what happened afterwards. This case right here is like this and the Murdoch trial were the two that got me to start making content. Like I said, I've been true crime in it for a long time, but these are the ones that really just got me in. I said, I'm in. I'm just going to do it. I got to do it. And here we are. So anyways, guys, I'll stop with the 4-wheel drive. Let me pull up this other tab, and we'll get rocking and talking. And, there was a request given to me in the last premiere down in the chat. There was a subscriber requesting, I forget what they were requesting. Damn, what? I'll probably remember before this is up. I'll probably remember. It's like on the tip of my tongue what they wanted me to do too. It was a really simple request. I'll probably remember before it's up. All right, let's jump into it, guys.
Let's talk about this even further. We want to bring in legal analyst and expert Brian Silber. And Brian, thanks for being with us. You joined us a couple of nights ago as we awaited extradition. If our viewers were watching us last night at this time, we were all kind of with.
And now, guys, this is a little bit older video, but as far as timeline, it's what we know. And there's other things that have happened since, but it's more based with the trial. You know what I mean? And the technicalities of the trial. So, I mean, we could get into that. I don't know if we'll get into the technicalities that recently happened with the trials and the motions and all that stuff, because that's what I've covered in my recent videos, my shorter videos. So if you guys want to get the details on the trial stuff, like that we don't cover in this, go back and check out the playlist. After I drop this tonight, I'm actually going to go in and revamp and update all the playlists, so it's easier to find the cases you want to know what's up with, or the past, the history on it, whatever, whatnot. But that being said, I just want to explain, this is an older video, but it works for what we want. Let's do this.
Witnessing the plane land on the tarmac there, and he was, transported with authorities in tow to the county jail there in Latah County. Brian, before all of this, let's just walk our viewers back and show them a timeline of the night of the killing via the probable cause affidavit. I want to put up this statement, or rather this graphic we've made here at Live Now, of the timeline, November the 12th and the 13th, into the very early morning hours of the 13th. So, of course, we know at 1:45 a.m., Zaina Kernodle and Ethan Chapin return home from that party. Then, a few minutes later, Brian, Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan arrive back home after getting food from that grub truck food truck. 2:47 a.m.
Dude, I will never. There's so many parts of this case that I'm never going to forget. And the scrutiny that the grub truck video and everybody that was in that video got, it's going to go down in infamy. Like, I'm going to have to say the true crime community took an L during that period of this. Well, it's still taking, I'm going to be honest, it's still taking L's, because there's still a lot of content creators out here covering this case, trial, whatever, and like just covering certain details to death, or turning certain things into stuff that it isn't. It's insane how much people have milked out of this one case. There's literally content creators that every day, this is all they do is this case. It's insanity. Four-wheel drive. My bad, guys.
A.m., according to the affidavit, a phone belonging to Brian Kohberger stops connecting to the cell phone network in Pullman, Washington. Then 2:53 a.m., somewhat 6 minutes later, surveillance video shows a white Hyundai Elantra traveling toward the highway between Pullman and Moscow. Right. 3:29 in the morning, surveillance video shows the white Elantra in the victim's neighborhood. 4 in the morning, Zaina Kernodle orders and receives a DoorDash delivery at the home. 4 minutes later, surveillance video shows the white Elantra returning to the area for a fourth time, turning near the victim's house there on King Road. 4:12 in the morning, Zaina Kernodle still.
So you guys catch that right there, though, right? If you look at the time frame that they're giving for seeing his car in the area, and then the time frame for that DoorDash delivery to happen, and then the location of that DoorDash delivery you had to get the food from, it doesn't make logical sense. This whole theory that people are running with that Kohberger was the DoorDash delivery person. There's a decently known content creator who had based like this massive theory that he was, literally went all in, like that Brian Kohberger was the DoorDash person, delivery driver. And literally even made a comment in one of my videos, like basically saying like, oh, everything you're saying is solid, but they never ruled out the DoorDash delivery driver or cleared anybody. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? What? Yeah, they did. I don't know. There's so much about this case. It's insane. It's like, in absence of certain details, people will just create things and just run with it. And I don't know, guys. I've had a really big issue with this case because I've seen, this is one of those cases where if you want to claim grifting, like content creators have grifted on it, like literally preyed on it every day to make monetary gains. Like, this is one of them. This is definitely one of them. It's I don't know. It's bad because it's not like this constant coverage is doing anything to like get justice. All it is to inform or misinform everybody. You can tell right now, and my boy Roger Land, one of our subscribers, he's been with me on this case from the jump. He's been following it, and we've had some really good discussions on it. And he too has been utterly disgusted to the point where he has unsubscribed from a ton of creators that are constantly covering this case and using clickbaity stuff. And I don't know, man. Four-wheel drive. I'm sorry, guys. We'll get back into it.
Awake on TikTok, according to her phone. That's according to those records. Near the same time, the downstairs roommate tells investigators she hears a crying sound. She said she then heard a male voice telling someone, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And that is quite stunning there. We have more, though, on the timeline, Brian, and you can respond to all this. I'm going to read it again. 417. Yeah. Go before we go into it. What do you want to say? Yeah.
It's bone chilling. There's no response to this. You couldn't have scripted this. It's horrible. I mean, to do this to these children. I'm very interested in the defense lawyers going through the evidence and confirming what is true and what is false. If everything that's being alleged is true, this is a real, true horror story coming to life.
Yeah.
I mean, it would mean this person is an animal. Yeah. This.
Bro, he is an animal. 100% an animal. No doubt about that. I have to agree with him. Like, he did it. Come on, guys. I know he's innocent until proven guilty, but come on.
This case is extremely unique in the history of our country.
Yeah, wow.
It's it shows a level of violence that we haven't had in a long time.
Okay. Let's keep running through that timeline outlined there in the affidavit. 4:17 a.m., whimper, thud, and dog barking can be heard on a nearby security camera. Around the same time, the downstairs roommate opens a bedroom door again, and this is just quite a moment, and sees a man with bushy eyebrows, clad in black clothing and a mask, walk past her towards the rear sliding door. The downstairs roommate said she then locked herself in her room. 3 minutes.
Okay, let's cover a few things on that one. One, I didn't like how a lot of people played that audio when it came out, the supposed, audio they're talking about. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I think it was very distasteful, to be honest with you. And even though it ended up being debunked that wasn't the event that was recorded, that it was some other kind of domestic event, whatever, regardless, why would you want to play that? Why? And especially if you were smart enough to like listen to it first before you play it on your channel, it sounded horrible. I remember I was at work, sitting there doing my thing at work, and it got played on the live I was listening to, and it literally made my stomach turn. You gotta understand, because like I've trained in martial arts, and I've been in some like really intense matches and training and stuff, and listened to really big dudes, you know what I mean, getting after it, like the sound of that, and like the sound of struggle in the audio, regardless if it was them or not, was intense. And then when it's being played, you're listening to it thinking that's those kids. It was a lot, man. I didn't like it at all. I'll never play anything like that. Sorry, guys. You won't get that here. And then what else? Okay, come on, man. Here's the thing too, guys. Everybody's got their theories around the whole DM situation. And why didn't she call for help? What did she... I don't know. I'll give you my speculation on it. My speculation is that those kids all partied. And you know what I mean by party. Not just, a little drink, but I think those kids party. I really do. I think all those kids were out partying. And even if they weren't doing anything besides drinking, the condition those two girls were in at the grub truck, they party, bro. They get down. And, living in a party dorm or a party style house in a college town where that's literally, dude, when they at school, they're partying. That's what they do. So it would be easy, I think, to honestly dismiss a lot of the sounds that you heard, especially if they're spaced out, especially if you're inebriated or intoxicated or whatever. I don't care what it was. It's got to be easy. And then you got to think they're living in a place where these kids run around with a damn mask all the time, and then there's rumors of pranks, talk of pranks with masks and this and that. So to be honest, if you really think about it, like she could have been in a different altered state of mind and this went down and she could have just like explained things away in her head. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. And then like what she saw was she saw a guy in dark clothes with a mask on and bushy eyebrows. It says nothing about him having a knife. It says nothing about him having blood on him. There's nothing in the description that would cause alarm. Because when she saw him, she didn't see bodies. She didn't hear anything else. Nothing else was going on. She just saw this guy just walk. So when you really stop and think about it logically and critically think about it, I mean, it's explainable. It's explainable. Especially if you've partied, man. If you've partied, you know what's up. You know what's up. I'm sure everybody has been at a point where they so messed up. They in their own little, your own little paradigm, your own little world. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But those two things I want to touch on because the conspiracy theories revolving around DM from like drugs to this to that, like man, it's bananas to me. It's nonsense. I'll be honest with you, because if that was true, if she had anything to do with it, look how much evidence they have on Coburger. You think they wouldn't have evidence on her or anybody else involved like that? You don't think everybody got their background searched? You don't think that they go through that process to eliminate people? Come on, man. Anyways, four-wheel drive, baby. Four-wheel drive. Hey, that was some deep mud.
Minutes later, the white Elantra is seen leaving the neighborhood, quote, at a high rate of speed. 4:48, Brian Koberger's phone reconnects to the cell networks near Blaine, Idaho. That's a town south of Moscow. 5:30 in the morning, Koberger's phone is detected back in Pullman. 9:12 in the morning, Koberger's phone connects to the cellular network in Moscow near the scene of the murders. And then a couple minutes later, Koberger's phone connects to the area of his home back in Pullman, Washington. And then after all of this, Brian, 11:58, noon the next day, a 911 call reports an unconscious person at the scene of the killings, triggering all of this response from law enforcement.
Bro, that right there, his alibi, now we know his alibi, right, is he was out driving, that he likes to do late night drives. And if you've watched my previous videos, I've like dissected all the nuances to his alibi and what it means for defense, what it means for prosecution, the whole nine. That little detail right there, it's like, okay, so you just happen to be out driving on one of these big little trips you do at night, and you were cruising around the murder scene and then took off away from the murder scene around the same time the murder has just so coincidentally been happening. And but why did you come back? Why did you come back? Why did you go from where you live, hang out and cruise around a neighborhood, leave that neighborhood, go all the huge scenery route all the way back to where you live, and then come back and show back up at the murder scene in the morning time? It makes no sense. Your alibi is ish, sir. It is it's cap, as the youngsters would say.
He went back to the scene around 9 in the morning after having allegedly committed the murders at 4 in the morning. And then, of course, like you said, that bone-chilling encounter between one of the roommates on the first floor and the alleged killer. And presumably, according to the affidavit, one of those roommates did not alert authorities until noon the next day. What do you make of that line, that plot line?
We just covered that, right? But let me go ahead and cover something else, because I know you guys are already thinking, TPP, what about DNA? What about blood? What about this? What about that? Check it out. I believe that when he went in, he was wearing basically like a jumpsuit type suit, black, kind of like coveralls per se. Nothing with a belt on it, just a straight up one piece, right? Could have had something covering the feet. Possibly could have had something cover the feet. Who knows? The little medical things, medical booties, possibly. Mask. But here's the thing. It was all coverage to keep from getting actual fluid on his skin, from getting actual blood on his skin as best as possible, in my opinion. He was suited. That suit, he wouldn't have had a belt on, in my opinion. He would have had the knife and the sheath in one of those bigger pockets that, one of those type of big, overalls, coveralls, whatever type of, one piece, durable, probably waterproof material, but they have big utility pockets nonetheless. So that's probably where the sheath was. Okay. Now, I think that jumpsuit is what caused him to lose track of the sheath. Okay. I don't know, man. A lot of people have the speculation that he purposely left it there and thought he had cleaned all the DNA off and then missed the snap. That's a crazy possibility. The dude is pretty nuts. Maybe. But more than likely, he didn't have a belt, had it in a pocket, lost track when he went into his rage because, in my opinion, he showed up for one person, maybe two, and he got four. And I think when he showed up for the first one and realized it was two, it messed his whole fantasy up. And he went nuts, lost track of the sheath. Now, okay, explain the sheath part. Also, the blood, right? Everybody's, there should have been blood all over the car. There should have been, not exactly. If you were to walk out the house, even if that clothing was covered in blood, if it was waterproof material and you're covered from head to toe, right? And if as few pieces as possible at that, and you come out of that house straight to the car, right? And already have either a tote or a bag laying out, and you strip that layer off, gloves, right? Mask off, one piece, you strip it off where you're not touching anything and it goes into a bag or a tote, goes back into the back of the car, contain the blood, right? And then he takes off on that long ass trip. That's where he got rid of that clothing. That's where he got rid of that knife. 100%. You know what I mean? That makes the most sense. Absolutely makes the most sense. I was thinking maybe like a trash bag, one of the big ass trash bags, 55 gal, just left it out there on the street, ready, or on his car or something, or shit tucked in a pocket, came out, threw it all in the bag, or possibly a tote. I was given that opinion by my boy, Roger Lynn, super smart dude. And it just makes sense, guys. Then everything's contained and it's not getting all over the damn car. And then he goes wherever he's going to go. He had a shovel in his car, right? We found that out. Possibly could have went, dug a hole, got rid of the knife, dug a hole, got rid of the clothes, or got rid of the knife in a hole, burnt the clothes at a campsite, out that way. Dude, there's so many different options. You know what I mean? But that's somewhere around what I'm thinking. That's my loose working theory right now, okay? For that aspect of it all. I'm sure I'll go four-wheel driving some more, though. Let's proceed.
I bet the people who lived in that house will have lifetime PTSD from what they saw and what they experienced. I don't fault them for anything they did or did not do.
Okay, here's another thing too, guys. Is there's some people that have differing opinions on this, okay? I believe the survivors are also victims. You were in a home that a quadruple homicide took place in that took the lives of your friends and roommates. And had things not gone sideways, had there not been a meltdown, he could have maybe went for all of them. I truly think Ethan wore him out. I think that was unexpected. I think Ethan was definitely one of the unexpected ones there. But if Ethan wasn't there, I have a strong feeling that he might have went searching for the other girls. But he went in probably thinking that there was 4 there, but got 6 instead, right? So 4 were down, exhausted, bounced. I digress, guys. I'm sorry. There's so much to this, man. That to me, I sit back and look at it all logically, critically, without emotion, without being tied into some other content creators' ideas. And to me, so many of these things are clear. I don't know. I guess it's funner to create a conspiracy theory and speculate on wild ideas. I guess that's just funner.
I know the girl who encountered that man, I think went and hid in her room for a period of time. It's totally understandable. She was.
Real quick, too, I heard that, I can't confirm this. I can't vet it anyway, but I heard that DM had like previous traumatic things happen in her past where she deals with some stuff, I guess some anxiety and this and that. Like, would you have those issues? Like, when you've dealt with some trauma, you can literally shut down, go catatonic, people. A lot of the stuff that has happened in this case is explainable, psychologically explainable. So to me, for all the people that jump to the wildest fucking conclusions, apologize. It's baffling, man. It's almost, I don't know. It's irritating, and to watch it happen over and over. Like, still to this day, we have content creators creating nonsense and conspiracy out of things that are easily explained, and it's so frustrating. Apologize, guys. Apologize. I'm putting some ruts in this one, huh? 4-wheel drive, baby.
It's summertime at Quality Furniture, and we have the hottest prices in the valley. Beautiful new solid wood bedrooms.
We do a deep dive into the.
Yo, what the hell, man? All right, sorry guys, I don't know what's going on.
Let's talk about this even further. We want to bring in the.
Where were we? Right there, I believe.
I'm going to help you, and that is quite stunning. There, we have more though on the timeline, Brian, and you can respond to all this. I'm going to read it again. 417. Yeah, go before we go into it. What do you want to say? Yeah.
It's bone chilling. There's no response to this. If everything that's being alleged is true, this is a real, true horror story coming to life. I mean, it would mean this person is an animal.
The survivors are victims. Absolutely.
This case is extremely unique in the history of our country.
Yeah. Wow.
It shows a level of violence that we haven't had in a long time.
Okay. Let's keep running through that timeline.
I just strongly believe that the survivors are also victims. It's like, how could you not be a victim when that happened in the home to your people? When I was 4-wheel driving, I think I got away from that point I wanted to make, but there's no way. Okay, so here's the deal. Think about it this way, right? When we're covering children cases, right, we consider the mom and dad of the missing child or the abducted child, when it's not the mom and dad that did it, obviously, right? We consider them victims, don't we? And then in trials, right, the family and friends get up and give victim witness impact statements. So to call these survivors to say that they're not victims, just saying, it's not too educated, man. They're victims. The rest of their damn lives are going to be altered. You think they're ever going to sleep like a normal person? Ever? Do you think DM is going to be able to live without some level of remorse that she didn't realize what was happening at the moment and try to get help for her friends? Even though we all know it wouldn't even have mattered if she would have called anyways. So that's another thing that pisses me off, is because people want to make this big deal out of her. But dude, even if she would have called right away, the reports say like they wouldn't have survived. These were like mortal wounds. The person knew what they were doing. So, anyways, you can tell us the DM thing kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if it's just because I have daughters and I could just put my daughter in that position and think of like, yeah, man. I mean, you could see a kid being so scared, especially if they have past traumas. I don't know. Let's get back into it. Apologize, guys. Apologize.
Outlined there in the affidavit. 4:17 a.m. Whimper, thud, and dog barking can be heard on a nearby security camera. Around the same time, the downstairs roommate opens a bedroom door again, and this is just quite a moment, and sees a man with bushy eyebrows, clad in black clothing and a mask, walk past her towards the rear sliding door. The downstairs roommate said she then locked herself in. 9:12 in the morning, Cobra unconscious person at the scene of the killings until noon the next day. What do you make of that line, that plot line?
You know, I bet the people who lived in that house will have lifetime PTSD from what they saw and what they experienced. I don't fault them for anything they did or did not do.
We're farther than that, guys. I'm sorry.
Idaho does have the death penalty. That is state law on the books there. So we'll have to kind of, track that once the trial starts. Let's get in, though, Brian, to some of these key highlights in the affidavit regarding what we were just talking about with the first floor roommate. The affidavit says, as part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department officers, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. So 2 of the interviews included BF and DM. That's the initials of those 2 roommates on the first floor. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims. DM said she opened her door for the 3rd time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with, quote, bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a, quote, frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. DM did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. Can you even just imagine she was spared after 4 of her other roommates were killed? You can't even imagine why the killer didn't or did not do that.
It makes this case even scarier. I mean, the level of this offense is unbelievable. I can't think of a school shooting comes near like this with the level of sickness of the alleged offender. It's just horrible. These 4 students were killed allegedly in their sleep. But as a lawyer, I'm looking forward to seeing the legal process play out. I'm looking forward to the government backing up its allegations and showing us what it found.
Now, she said athletic build, right? I know Koberger ain't no just, muscle up dude, but my guy does have an imposing demeanor, and he does have broad shoulders, and he's not fat. He's a thinner dude, so that does give that appearance. But, man, that dude, I'm telling you, I've said it before, if they have signups for the squad, for the firing squad, and they're taking out of state people to sign up, let me know. I'm your man. I will stand in that lineup. I'm down.
A trial is a public proceeding. It's for the community as well, and this man is certainly entitled to his due process, and the victims are entitled to be heard in court as well.
That side profile, man. How is that not Papa Roger? How? Crazy.
And they should have that opportunity. They absolutely are entitled to it. They deserve that justice.
Brian, do we expect, though, these first floor roommates, we don't know their names, only their initials, and they're not minors, presumably because they're in college, they would have to testify at trial, wouldn't they not?
I don't know. It's too early to tell. We really are, I think, very far from knowing everything about this case. We certainly haven't heard from the defense. I mean, who knows what they have to say. Right now, we're in the information collection phase. And I think once all the cards are in, we'll see how it plays out. But it's too early to tell.
Okay, Brian, we have a couple more highlights from the affidavit we want to go over with you. Take a look at this one. The 3rd floor consisted of 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, hereafter Goncalves' room. I later learned from review of Officer Nunez's body camera there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. This is from the responding officer, Brett Payne, who wrote up the affidavit. So a dog in the room as well, the dog alive, obviously barking. And so Kohberger spared the animal, not the humans.
It seems that way, but I think as this case unfolds, we're going to find out what the circumstances were that led to this whole encounter. I guess one possibility is it could be random. Maybe he is that type of person. We don't know yet. But
Okay, so why them? There's all kinds of different theories on why them. Why were they the target? Did he see him somewhere? Did he meet him somewhere? Or there's the other thought process of it wasn't the actual people that started off being the target, that it was actually the house. How would a house be a target? Well, opportunity, layout, logistics, how easy it would be to run surveillance on it without being noticed, how easy it would be to enter and exit the premises. And now we know that he'd stalked it for a while. I mean, he was doing his due diligence on knowing who came and went and what happened at that place. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that he picked the house and then did his reconnaissance on the individuals in the home. And they're super active on social media, so it wouldn't be too hard to really start figuring out what they do there, And there's a lot of these social media apps where if you have it downloaded to your phone, you can see who's in the area. So that being said, I am in the school of thought that he actually picked the house because it was a perfect target opportunity because of logistics. In my opinion, though, guys, could be wrong. We'll see.
But maybe there's a bigger story here. Something that would make sense of all this bizarre activity. The thing I think that will be very revealing next is when law enforcement has a chance to do an analysis on his electronics. I'm sure he has a laptop or a computer at his house that he used for school, used for his own personal, email usage and internet surfing.
That was like the most unflattering picture of his pops. I mean, he's already kind of goofy looking, but man, that didn't help him any. It did him dirty on that one.
I'm sure when they have a chance to forensically evaluate his cell phone, I'm sure there'll be evidence in there that's very telling. They got to find at least one clue that's going to give us an insight into this person and verify these allegations.
Yeah, Brian, we haven't been privy to any of that, like you mentioned, phone, computer, search history, metadata, who he was speaking to, because there was a long gap from when he committed the murders to when he was arrested. And we learned from the affidavit, police had been on his tail not too far and long after the murders, about 12 days. We also know he visited the residence. Well, he didn't visit the residence. He kind of scoped out the residence numerous times before allegedly committing the murders as well. Okay, let's get your response to this. This was quite something as well. This in the affidavit. Brett Payne writes, I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had Kabar USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of mail.
Bro, who in true crime doesn't know how to say that name at this point by now? Kabar. You're killing me.
DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath. So they still don't have a murder weapon recovered, but they found the sheath in which it was stored. I mean, if you're a murderer, that's quite careless.
They found
sheath. A sheath.
They found
okay.
a sheath. We don't know what sheath that is, who it belongs to. Maybe it belonged to one of the residents.
And now we know, since then, we got DNA that Coburgers, that's his. And what else do we have? We have some evidence that he may have purchased that offline, right? So, just coincidence, though, right? Means nothing.
This is a school in Idaho that they attend. I imagine it's somewhat or mostly a rural area or near a rural area. I'm really not familiar with the neighborhood. Maybe it is a city, but this could be a collectible item. The K-Bar Marine Corps fighting knife is very well known. It's something that was used in the service for many years, and there are actually many collectible ones. Or it could be his, or it could be someone else's. But I'm interested to see where that DNA leads, and also the lab report produced by the people that do the DNA evaluation to see how reliable this is, as well as the records that show how it was handled and who it was handled by. Every step of the way, they have to document the chain of custody of this evidence. And these are the things that the defense lawyers have to very meticulously go over to make sure that the law was followed and that the evidence that the government wishes to admit is actually admissible in a court of law. And that's a decision that a judge would make. These are some of the thoughts I'm having, the leads that I think I would work on if I was representing this guy.
Yeah, and Brian, but we do know that DNA from the sheath of the knife, whoever's knife it might be, was transpired to some of the trash and rubbish outside the Koberger residence in Pennsylvania. That's how they made the match with the DNA, and that's what they were tracking as well. So we do know that detail.
God, you said that incredibly sloppy. Incredibly sloppy. They didn't explain that DNA thing very well at all, did they? Not at all. So, let's break it down. First, the trace genealogy back to his father. And then once they followed his butt back to his mom and pops, they copped the trash with the DNA on it, tested it, match. That's how it worked. What that gibberish that man just said, I don't even know what the hell he just said. I don't even think he knows what he just said. Mr. Kabar knife over here.
Anything else that struck out to you in the affidavit? I know we kind of picked out some of the key highlights, but there was a lot in there. Did you expect more? Did you expect less?
Well, I think it was an open question because sometimes probable cause affidavits are very skimpy. It's just the bare bones that they need to allege to justify the arrest. In other cases, it's very lengthy. This to me reads like a warrant application. They probably just copied their warrant application and used that for the PC that they were distributing. But I think they did a good job writing it up. They really gave the public a lot of information that was not available before. And, the case is starting to take shape and start making sense for people.
Yeah, that had a lot of information in it. And just think, they don't put everything in those. They don't. They hold some stuff back. Now, here's another thing, too, I want you to think about next time you're watching a trial or listening or loosely following, whatever the case may be. Think about this, okay? The people that will always know the most about a case, the ones that will, besides the perpetrator or victims, right, or possibly lawyers, even lawyers don't get maybe all the details per se, but the people that have the most information always are law enforcement that dealt with the case. You realize, okay, so the affidavit had a bunch on there. Obviously, there's more stuff that's not on there, but you realize not everything's going to make it to trial. Not everything ever makes it to trial. There's so much evidence that gets held back on so many trials. It's insane. So I'm really hoping and praying that we get the whole boatload of what they know. But prepare for that. Prepare that we only get to hear about what's on the affidavit, maybe a sprinkle, a smidgen more. But we might not ever know all of the evidence. Crazy, huh? I digress. We'll drive. My bad, guys.
Okay, Brian Silber, as always, we really appreciate you kind of guiding us through this major national story, and it's not over. It's going to keep developing. Brian, thanks so much. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Okay, right now, though, we want to continue with this as well, though. We want to put up the timeline, not of the night of the murders, but of The murders until the arrest of Koberger. Take a look at this timeline that we have made here. Okay, so November the 12th, that was Kaylee Goncalves' final Instagram post. In one of the photos, Madison Mogen sits on Goncalves' shoulders as Ethan Chapin and Zaina Kernodle stand next to them smiling. You've all seen that photo. It's poignant and touching, but so very sad. November the 13th, two of the victims, Goncalves and Mogen, are spotted at the popular food truck, the Grub Truck, on campus. November the 13th, police believe the murders take place between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. November the 14th, the Moscow mayor calls the slayings a crime of passion, and that was quickly refuted. Doesn't seem like any fact patterns suggest that as of yet. We'll wait and see. November the 15th, police label the attack as, quote, isolated and targeted. November the 17th, the coroner releases the autopsy findings. November the 29th, the victims' vehicles were towed from the crime scene. November the 30th, police in Moscow say it has not officially deemed the murders targeted. Quite the recantation. November the 31st, police clarify it continues to believe the attack was targeted, so back and forth there. December the 7th,
Okay, pause real quick. Okay, guys. So you remember one of the big issues people were having, right? It was like the community was all up in arms about, well, how can you say that, you know, that we're safe or that it was targeted, it's not targeted, this, that, and third. But when law enforcement isn't coming out and saying like straight up lockdown, like protect yourself, it's probably a good indication that they have a suspect already and they are watching his ass. I'm pretty sure that's why they moved the way they did in this case. But just remember that next time we're watching something unfold and you're wondering, man, you know, why aren't they urging the public to be cautious? Probably a good indicator that they got the person in their target and they're watching them to where they can't even get away with doing anything, you know, anyways. So just want to interject that little thing because that is something I've noticed throughout time of watching all these cases and how they unfold, that when law enforcement is at ease on a certain something, it's usually because they got it figured out. Okay.
police ask for information about the white Hyundai Elantra seen near the crime scene. December the 13th, police pull hours of surveillance footage from that nearby gas station, including the image of the white sedan passing by in the early hours of November the 13th. We all remember that video. December the 18th, surveillance video shows Goncalves and Mogen walking with a man the night of the murders. December the 27th, leaked images from inside a local bar show Goncalves and Mogen. And December 30th, Washington State University PhD student Brian Koberger is arrested in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. On the 3rd, he waives his extradition so he could be brought to Moscow to face charges. On the 4th, yesterday, he lands in Washington, is taken to the Latah County Jail, and today he faces that judge and was charged with those 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. So, police...
Before I forget, let's just touch on some stuff. So, a lot of people are like, how come there's no DNA and like lack of DNA and there should be this because it was a bloodbath? Well, if you accept my theory on why there wasn't a bunch of blood transfer as far as what he was wearing and the protocol he used, right? Think about how meticulous he is. He's OCD about he's a germaphobe, like he's bad about it. So a person like that, knowing that they're about to go and get themselves bloody, think about it, man, they would pick the best thing to do with that. Now, once that's accomplished, everybody's like, well, why did they would have had to have found blood in the car. Not if you did it the way I explained. And even if there was a little bit here and there, think about how much time lapsed from the point he committed these murders to the point where he was arrested and that car was searched. Think about how much time he had to clean it. And we know he cleaned it for sure when he got back to his mom and dad's house. His sister straight up told on him, right? We know this. Law enforcement was watching him. We know this. So that being said, to think that was the only time that he cleaned it after the murder would be ridiculous. He's OCD, clean freak. Come on. I'm telling you guys, like every part of that man's life from the moment he committed those murders was constantly sanitizing everything. It's why he was wearing those damn gloves all the time. it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that he actually did a pretty damn good job of covering a lot of stuff up and planning this. I believe, honestly, I'm going to tell you this right now. It seems like a lot of people that follow me do believe in God. I'm not sure if Christian, Catholic, Jewish. I don't know what your standing is, but I do see a lot of, affirmation for the Lord, in the chats that I float around. So what I'm going to say right here is that knife sheath, I think that was divine intervention. I think that he had everything really planned out extremely well. I really do. I think he had it planned out actually way better than people give him credit for. And I truly believe that knife sheath, I think it was tucked in a pocket that it shouldn't have come out of. Looking at all the different styles of type of apparel that I think he was wearing, I think he had it tucked into something that it shouldn't have fell out of. And I truly believe that knife sheath falling out was divine intervention. And I believe that if that wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't know the name Brian Koberger. Not at least on this case. That's what I truly believe. Now, could be wrong, but that's where I'm at on it.
In Moscow, we're on to his trail well before any of us ever knew it. They were keeping their cards very close to their chests. And so you can read the probable cause affidavit. It is available. It is a public document.
All right, guys. Now, that's a lot. That was a lot. We covered a lot. I feel like we covered a lot on that. Whoa. Calm down there, buddy. Calm down. Let's pull these beautiful souls back up. Now, we covered a lot. There's more. Obviously, there's more, right? And I'm sure y'all got questions down there. And you all have been probably talking about what about this, what about that. Now, I've kind of explained most of the things that I see people having a hard time explaining or dealing with or having conflict with. Brian Koberger, he wasn't hired to do this. It's not a conspiracy. Look at his freaking background. Look at it. His background, his whole damn life story up to this point, you couldn't write a better script for a serial killer, for a murder. You just couldn't. The way the stuff in school, the social awkwardness, the drug abuse, the visual snow, the mental health issue, just the whole nine. You couldn't write a better script for a serial killer, in my opinion. So, guys, I truly believe this was planned a long time ago. Might have started off as just an idea that floated around, but I think the more that life shafted Mr. Awkward and he didn't fit in, I think that his mentality and his specific, unique mindset, call it uniquely demon mindset, I think it just progressed to this point. I think it was a metamorphosis to this point. But here's the other thing I'm going to say, too, is I don't think this is the first time that he killed. I really don't. I didn't. And then when they did that grand jury, back in his home state, I was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, you don't do what he did, allegedly, without having some type of courage, knowing that you could pull this off. I just don't believe it. So for me, guys, I truly believe this is a solo job. He did it alone. I feel like trying to find a motive is basically like just go look at the motives for BTK or Ridgeway or any of them that seem normal, right, on the outside, but then they do these heinous things. Why? So actually finding a legit motive for Brian Koberger, I don't know. Was he incel? Maybe. Did he just get fed up with life handing him L's because he's not that guy. He's just not that guy. Some guys just aren't that guy, right? It's just some women just ain't that woman. Some people just they're kind of vanilla. And that was him. Maybe he just got tired of it, and just snap. I don't know. I feel like it was more of a progressional thing. I think it was something that was in the back of his dark mind for a long time. And I feel like that was the reason he took the path that he did with his education. I'm telling you guys, you couldn't have written a better script. I don't know. Dang, guys, 55 minutes in, coming up on an hour. I'm tired as hell. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. Out here in Cali, it's 6:38. I haven't even eaten a day. I've been fasted all day. Man. But I can't think of any other points of interest that we did not cover. If there's anything now, anything that we should talk about or you have questions on that we didn't cover, any points you want me to explain my opinions on, drop them in the chat if you're live right now, right? Let's kick around the ideas for maybe a minute or two before I shut it down. If you're catching the replay, appreciate you. And do the same thing down in the comments. Just shoot a question. So yeah, guys, man, I do though. I truly believe that divine intervention stopped what could have ended up being maybe one of the worst modern day serial killers from developing. I truly believe that. I was listening to Ken Maines, right? Unsolved No More. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but he's a cold case detective. He's got a YouTube channel. Super awesome, super smart. But he has a gentleman that was doing life, right? He's set up for death, right? Here in California. But then he got some stuff worked out in the courts and he's basically going to do life now. He's not going to get death penalty. But even though in California, you're going to get the death penalty anyways, there's a moratorium on it. Nonetheless, this guy's been housed with serial killers for years now, and he's literally done studies on them. So he does these phone calls with Ken Maines, right? And I was listening to him profile this case about what he thought, before they caught Koberger, what he thought. And he described like this new style of serial killer where they're highly educated, they understand technology, they have the same drives and mechanisms that all the other ones do, but they have like this new knowledge on how everything works to the point where they don't make the same mistakes that the older serial killers were making as technology got better. So he was calling him like a hybrid serial killer, which he kind of nailed it because boom, what did we do when they busted Koberger, right? It was like, this dude's a student of this. He's a damn student of this. And his professor, she's written a book on one of the most famous serial killers in our country. This dude hit it like dead on. It was crazy, guys. If you haven't come across Unsolved No More, Ken Maines, check his channel out. It's dope. But yeah, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I kind of like rambled a little bit there for a couple minutes to see if you guys wanted to wrap up any more questions down there in this premiere chat. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about it, guys. I can't wait for the trial to finally get here, even though they're saying like it's going to be next year, possibly at the end of next year. That's insane to me. It means I'm going to have to endure a whole another year of other content creators putting out just clickbaity ass thumbnails and videos. And the reason it frustrates me so bad is because when I see it, and these content creators are big and they have a lot of numbers, right? When I see it and I see them misinforming all their subscribers that are like, they're deep in their lives, like there's a lot of subscribers in that live chat, and they're being misinformed, it just makes me feel compelled to drop a video dispelling what they're saying. So I'm gonna have to do that shit for a whole nother year, and it's frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. And I don't call these creators out specifically. I just put the information out in a way that corrects things without being a dick, basically. But I can be, trust. I can be if they want to go there. So All right, guys, I'm gonna stop rambling. Hopefully you guys got to drop the questions, and hopefully we all kicked around, our opinions and everything. I hope you guys appreciated this video. I know there's a lot of people that haven't been really close, following this stuff close, did for the first, month or two, but then fell off. So hopefully this refreshed everybody. Hopefully, my opinions didn't offend people, because I know some people, when they hear an opinion that conflicts with theirs, they get all weird about it. So hopefully I didn't upset nobody. Let me know what you guys think, though, about what my opinions are about my working theory and everything. And if there's something I didn't cover, like I said, hit me up. Other than that, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. It was fun. I'm really loving this premiere style. It's gonna be even better when it's live stream. I know, Huntress, girl, I promise. There's good reasons why I haven't done it yet. I promise you. I'm not shy. I'm not scared. Trust. But all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's your boy, the Piscine Predator, aka TPP, baby. Much love, you all. I'm out. Peace.